Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Can We Talk by Master Relationship Coach Myra McKnight.
Hello, everyone. Hello, today is Friday. This is your host, Myra McKnight on Can We Talk, and I am glad to be with you today, and I hope that you're glad to be here with me. I do appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be in your space just for a little bit. Just for a little bit, we're going to entertain ourselves, talk about something that's relevant, that's practical, and just kind of have a little bit of fun. I have an amazing guest today. All my guests are amazing, and I appreciate them so much for accepting my invitations. I'm going to have Dr. Mildred Peyton. She is an author of children's books, and she's going to be talking about bullying. And those are the books that she writes for children. And in this day and time, Lord have mercy, we do need that for our kids. But we're going to have her in the studio today on the other side of the break. And if you'd like to call in, please do. Just give us a call and ask any type of questions that you might want to ask regarding that, because that's a particular subject that all of us can really kind of relate to. I don't think that bullying was not as pronounced last. As you know, when we were younger, it wasn't pronounced as much as it is today. We always had bullies around. You know, we always people want to push their weight around with other folks, but today it's a different story. I want you to give us a call at 619-924-0933. This is a relevant conversation, and it's really have gotten to a point that I'm not usually a pessimist, but I'm not feeling this the way things are today. And I think, you know, I thought about it earlier today, and my word for the day is bully. And not so much from a kid's perspective. You know, you can be a bully as an adult as well, and we see that from the man that's in the White House. It's really a shame what has happened to our country and how it's being torn apart with words. And it kind of reminds me of what the Bible says, life and death is in the power of the tongue. And the tongue has been wagging so much hatred and so much discord. And people now just feel comfortable to talk like the leader. And, you know, everything starts at the head. And when we're talking about bullying, my question I thought about, you know, is that are you a bully? And, you know, maybe you need to ask yourself that question. Do you bully? Do you bully your partner? Do you bully your children? Do you bully your friends? Do you bully people at work? You know, bullying I don't think is always going to be a violent thing, but it's an antagonizing. You know, you can be antagonize a person, be condescending towards a person, always have to jive or dab a person, being, you know, just not being nice, not so nice to a person. And doing what my husband and I do, we work with relationships, we talk about building healthy relationships. And a lot of times in relationships, you know, I think that you are bullying each other. It's always a tit for tat in some cases, and you can't build a relationship with a bully. You just can't, you know, because they don't allow you to. But the thing about bullies is, you know, especially adult bullies, that kind of tells me there's a problem somewhere. And a lot of checking needs to do with us as individuals and us as adults. And Dr. Mildred Peyton is going to come talk to us about what she tells the children. And the thing is, you know, and it's amazing, it's wonderful, because they need to know what not to do, because the adults are acting like a freaking fool out here and doing all the crazy stuff that they don't want the children to do, but they're not showing a good example. So we're going to talk about that and ask some questions and see what type of information we can get back regarding bullying. And call us at 619-924-0933. 619-924-0933. This is Myra McKnight, and I am your empowerment speaker, your relationship coach, and I am enjoying in your space today. It is going to be an awesome show. And on the other side of the show, I'm going to have our guest in the studio, and we're going to learn something. She's got children's books, but we can learn a lot from what somebody gives to the kids. See you in a minute.
Source Nation, stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening live to Can We Talk by Master Relationship Coach Myra McKnight.
Source Radio Network is just one of the many platforms that is used to fulfill dreams of our listeners and create a purpose that will impact the lives of our communities, cities, and the world. It is often said that great things will happen when a group of driven people work together to accomplish one goal. We're giving people the opportunity to have a voice, translate words that haven't been heard, and paint pictures that no one has seen. Source Radio Network is fueling your life's purpose. How can you listen? www.blogtalkradio.com/Source Radio.
Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Can We Talk by Master Relationship Coach Myra McKnight.
Hello, welcome back, Source Nation family. Again, as always, I'd like to really let you guys know that I am so glad to be here with you and you with me in your space and in my space. And as I told you, we have an amazing guest that is going to be in the studio with us today. And it's Dr. Mildred Peyton, and she writes children's books. And she's an expert in bullying. And in today's climate, we need to give our children all we can give them about someone with that type of disposition. But before I go any further, I will be remiss if I do not give a shout-out to our amazing sponsors. And they are Zelina Health, Wellness, and Fitness, Paper 2 Film Productions, Revolution Mills, Ren Ovations, Meet My Type Matchmaking, Blend to Blend Juice Bar Boutique, Urban Grand Digital, and New Covenant of Praise Worship Center. And we want to thank our sponsors for giving us this opportunity just to be able to come together on this Friday night and talk real practical conversations that benefit the community, our family, and ourselves. And as I promised, we're going to have Mildred in the studio. Hello, Mildred. How are you?
Hi, Myra. Hi, I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being a part of Can We Talk. I am excited about the book that you've written for our children. It's right on time. I know that you are an expert in bullying, and I hope you're going to be able to not only give us information for the kids, but help us out a little bit too, because this has gotten crazy out here.
Yes, I completely understand, and like you said, there's so much going on with our youth, and it's just important for us to just continue to have this conversation and educate our community as much as possible, and also work with our educators as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what I like to do is if you can tell our audience a little bit about you. I told them something about you, but tell our audience what you would like them to know about you, and then let's talk about those books that you have.
Absolutely. I am Dr. Mildred Peyton, and I come from a very extensive background in human services. And for about 12 years, I've worked in human services on the local government level, and I provided services for individuals in need of public assistance. But recently, I've turned my attention to bullying right after my doctoral research study in 2015. And after I completed that study, I was just so inspired to just keep talking more on this issue. And it made it quite easy because I've always had a passion for children and youth and just advocating for their safety and well-being. So that's what pretty much led me down this path. It just all generated and stemmed from my doctoral research study in 2015.
Great. And it became a passion of yours. And, we need that. And I congratulate you on that because we do need more people to help our children and our youth to become better citizens as they continue to grow in this world. And so tell us about some of the books and the impact that you have seen it has had since you started this.
Well, definitely. The book that I written, my first book was published in 2015, about a month after I completed my doctoral research, A Bully on the School Bus. And basically this book was to just empower kids, victims in particular, who encountered bullying. And in this book, I just pretty much put out a story of a young girl who was being constantly attacked on a school bus, and she just, she knew something was wrong, and she brought it to her parents' attention, and they were able to guide her and just kind of show her the way to handle the situation. And again, it's used as it's a tool, a resource to empower students, to empower youth on how to deal with bullying, how to recognize it, and just encourage them to speak up. And my second book, Sophia Writes to Her Bully, which was recently published this year, February of 2017, it also is another tool, again, to empower students, and this one just more so focused on a different type of bullying. This aspect of bullying was more so exclusion. The main character was excluded from a group of students because of her appearance. And what we need to understand is bullying doesn't just come in just one form. I know, we're used to the physical forms of bullying, but there are different levels of bullying that we all need to be aware of so that we can be able to address it and recognize it when it's happening. And those other forms include verbal bullying, social, which is what my second book is based on, the social exclusion, and cyberbullying, which is also on the rise right now due to social media and just easy access to technology and all the devices that we have.
Wow. Yeah, and it's really interesting because it's like, coming up as a kid, of course, we had bullying too. I think it's always been around, but the magnitude of which it has duplicated itself in so many different areas, like you talked about, the cyberbullying and the exclusion of an individual, where, I'm coming up as just somebody just ran their mouth all the time against you. They were just against you, and I remember some of that. Being one of the shortest ones in my family, I remember a girl, she was tall and she was big, and she was just like, she just didn't like me, and I just didn't know why she didn't like me, and she didn't know either. And but and it was a very intimidating thing. But then later on, I think after I think I was in grade school, I think later on we became pretty good friends. She used to come by my house then, and we'll sit on the steps and talk. So, but that doesn't happen anymore like that. And I don't, everything used to be kind of a disruption, but it was clean. It was kind of like the intention was not really to really hurt a person. It was just being a little meanie, but not over the top. Like today, it's dangerous.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the nail. Bullying in the past, even when I was growing up, is different. I was bullied as a child, but I was able to handle the situation. And like you said, some of the people that I experienced, bullying with, we ended up being friends in the end, But nowadays it turns into suicide and school shootings, and, it just escalates to a different level, and it's just something that it's really alarming, especially as a parent. When you see this epidemic that's going on in our schools, a place that we send our children to be safe and to learn and to also have, healthy interactions with your peers, it's alarming when we see this on the news, or, you read another article that another shooting happened, or another, child committed suicide due to bullying. So, it has changed. The face of bullying has changed over the decades, and it's really alarming, and we need to continue to do more and be proactive rather than reactive about this issue.
Right. Why is it that the schools do not take this seriously? It just seems like it should be an all-out campaign about this to where some of the kids don't fall through the cracks. Or do they take it seriously?
I think their intent is to take it seriously. There are policies in place. There are programs that are out there, which I also want to touch on later on, that parents need to be aware of the programs that are available in their schools. There are things in place, but I think, schools tend to become overwhelmed. And I say this from a personal experience. My oldest daughter experienced bullying for the first time last year. And, you know, the first thing the principal mentioned to me as an expert was that, I believe this is pure conflict. And I had to explain to her, I say, this is not pure conflict. There's a difference between pure conflict and bullying. So I had to explain to her for her to really hear me. And once I did that, everything, worked out well. But I feel that, again, schools do have good intentions to address this issue, but I feel that they're also overwhelmed. And when I say overwhelmed, is that you have non-bullying behaviors on a daily basis, and then you also have the bullying behaviors. So when you have counselors who are dealing with students with non-bullying behaviors regularly, they tend to become overwhelmed, and they overlook the cases that are bullying. You see, so it's I think this is how these cases get slip through the cracks, because they are overwhelmed. And my suggestion is that every school should have a bullying specialist. That way, the counselors don't have to feel so they don't have to spread so thin and just feel overwhelmed when it comes to dealing with these behavioral issues. That we have a specific individual that's just focusing on bullying. And I think if we do that in every state and in every school, we can really try to curb this issue that we're having right now.
Yeah, and I agree, Mildred. I think that's an excellent. I mean, God, I know that so many people have so many great suggestions for our kids and our youth, and sometimes I don't know. It's always an issue that you can't do it. It's a great idea, they say, and it's something you should do, but there's always a budget issue or a policy issue or we don't have the manpower, the money. But I think that what you're saying is makes a lot of sense, because you do need to have a specific a specialist there to deal with the special issue that comes up, because just going to the teacher doesn't do it, or just go because. And I guess the bullying, it requires some mediation. It requires somebody that's expert in that position, to where they know where it's not going to backfire so much on the other individual if they tell. Because sometimes, you go tell and they say, well, you told the teacher on me, and the teacher doesn't do anything but say, little Bobby, don't do that, and we're going to call your mother. But then that becomes another problem.
Right.
So I think what you're saying is important. And the books, and what are the ages for your books, Mildred?
6 and up.
Okay.
Yes, 6 and up. So basically, that's from elementary school until high school, if you will. And the reason why I consider it 6 and up, because we're now seeing, according to my research study and other studies out there, we're seeing bullying happening at an earlier stage, and it's more prevalent in the elementary school age. So, and it gets more heavier in middle school, and tends to calm down in high school, but we're seeing it more so in elementary school. And interestingly, I have a few parents and a few educators who are telling me that they're starting to recognize it in preschool. So I'm starting to also focus on the early learning centers, because, if we start to incorporate it on that level, which I've done training before, if we incorporate it on that level, then we can, easily try to nip it in the bud before they even get to elementary school, where it's more common. So this is why my books are catered to children of elementary school age and older.
Wow. So at the end of the day, if we're going all the way back from elementary school to preschool, it actually is everything else. It's starting at home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Starting at home.
It's I don't know. I just don't know how. I do know that, you try not to be hard on the parents, because, parents have to work and they have to make a living. They got to get the kids to school and they got to get to the job. But the society, it's a systemic problem anyway, and it all starts at home. But then again, it starts with the parents and their commitment and involvement with their children, because it used to be, when I was coming up, you get your kids and you send them to school, and that was okay. But you can't just do that today. You can't
That's
just
right.
send them to school today like you could years ago. And it's just like, get ready for school, you go to school. And sometimes school was the happiest part of our lives. And you come home, but you didn't have the kind of life-changing stuff that's actually going on today. So now you just can't just say, go out the door and go to school, because I say that you're actually sending your kids to a jungle. You send them to a group of piranhas out there, and they actually have to fight through all of that.
Exactly. They're being bombarded with so much more socially, and it's really scary. And parents need to stay on top of it. You need to recognize your child's behavioral patterns. You listen to them verbally and emotionally. You just take heed to what they're saying, what they're not doing, and what they are doing. Yeah.
Right. Taking that time with the kids is very important, and I know. I get it, been there. You're tired when you get home and you've had a long day and you just want to just rest. And, the kids are microwaving their food and they're, doing the things that they have to do to get by, and they're at home. And a lot of times parents don't know what they've gone through, what they've done. And I think kids have, they able to shield a lot of that from day to day.
Yes. And and that's where really the parents got to push through and really just step it up and make sure you're always attentive and make that time. You have to make time for your kids. Otherwise, you will miss a lot of things that's going on emotionally or mentally. You will miss out on some things, some red flags.
Absolutely, and in some cases, this is what you were talking about the school shootings and things of that nature. In some cases, it'll show up in the worst place that you get to knock on the door, you get the phone call, and you don't want that. Now, the bullying with the cyberbullying, of course, I don't want to date myself, but we didn't have that either at all. We didn't. When we came home, we played outside. So we wasn't in the house doing on the computer bullying people. That's just amazing how that has come to light. But is that something that you think should be kind of regulated? I know they don't like to regulate things, but the tech markets are being regulated now for a lot of other things. Is there something you think should be regulated regarding that bullying, cyberbullying?
Well, yeah, in a sense that, certain languages that's being used maybe could be blocked or, be flagged. So I believe there are softwares and programs that could definitely be created to again, prevent cyberbullying from occurring. But again, it goes back to the parenting. We have to monitor what our kids are doing. We can't just say, you're on your iPad, you're on your cell phone, and just think that, they're doing the right thing.
It's okay.
Yes, we tell our kids, exactly. We teach them to do the right things. We tell them, but we also have to follow up by monitoring them and staying on top of them because kids are going to be kids. They're not always going to be perfect, just like adults. We're not always perfect. So we can't expect kids to always be perfect and follow all the rules. So that's where we take our role seriously and make sure we monitor them, even if they're on their iPad or on the computer. We check in and say, okay, what are you doing? What side are you on? And just track it,
Yeah, absolutely. And even we'll put whatever devices on there, because I can imagine you've come home from work and you're tired and you feel safe. Do you feel okay to rest because your kid is at home and on the computer? And like you call them, you're like, well, what's Kathy doing? Well, she's upstairs on the computer, or she's just hanging out on the computer. And some parents feel safe because the physical body of the child is there, but you don't know when that computer, they're physically there, but they're in a different type of space that is detrimental. Yeah. Wow. So what have you, what does it look like? What do you think is going to, I know the parents have to step up and be more diligent and do their due diligence regarding their children and kind of step to them about that, about bullying, or if you're being bullied, because from what I've seen, a lot of the parents didn't know that children were being bullied.
Yeah. Again, and that happens when you're, you have to stay in constant communication with your child. You check in with them every day. How is school? Monitor their behavior. We communicate, with nonverbal language. So we have to monitor their body language, what they're saying, again, and what they're not saying, because when my child, for example, when my oldest daughter experienced it last year, we have an open communication. So I immediately recognized, that something wasn't right. She wasn't as she was complaining a lot about this one particular child, and I took the time to really listen, to gauge whether or not this was just a one-time thing, or it's just a pure conflict, or if it was a mutual disagreement, or if it was actually bullying. So, you just have to just be attentive and vigilant by communicating with your child. Ask them how your day was, what made it bad, what made it good, and just always be ready to communicate and listen to your child, even if it's in the car on the way home, from practice or school or whatever. Just listen to what they have to say. Give them that time, and that should, help you from not missing the signs of what's going on.
Right, absolutely. Mildred, I got someone that's asking a question here in the chat room, and the question is, so should we tell our children if someone is bothering them to, he said, deck them, or to, to fight or fight back?
I would, for example, what I tell my daughter is, if someone is teasing you or, trying to intimidate you, you tell them, you tell them that, I don't like it, I want you to stop. And if they, and you tell them that you will tell a teacher. But I don't suggest physical, confrontations. The only time I feel that that's okay is if you are actually being attacked and you have to protect yourself. You can't stand there and have someone just pounding on you or, just physically harming you. You have to shield yourself. You have to protect yourself. And if you cannot walk away, that's when you do what you need to do by, shielding yourself or whatnot. But initially, I strongly believe that communication is very powerful. You stand firm in your words, and you tell your bully, you look them in the face and say, I don't like it, I don't appreciate it, and I want you to stop. And if you do not stop, I will report you to the principal or the teacher. And, this is part of teaching your child how to be resilient and not give the bully the power. And I strongly believe that's what helped my daughter. She was very resilient, and I really commend her for that, because when you look at her stature, when you look at her, she's very petite, like her mom. She's very petite, and, she's definitely, she's a target and at risk of being bullied. However, because I teach her so much how to speak up and not to be afraid, she was able to do that, and, we were on top of things. So it never escalated to a physical confrontation, even though the young girl did throw a bowling ball at her during recess. However, she stood up so firmly that it did not go any further. It did not go beyond that. Just by simply using her words and showing her power.
So it sounds like what you're saying is, when they do that, don't back down, don't run away, don't be reclusive, don't be non-assertive in what they're doing, because that emboldens them, doesn't it? If you just kind of back away, because you're saying stand firm. And say that stand firm when someone is doing something to you.
Yes, and you tell them, I don't like it. Can you stop, please? I don't like it when you say this to me or when you do this. And you have to let the aggressor know up front that you don't like certain behavior or what they're doing. Because if you shy away or you're timid about it, they will continue to do it and they think it's okay. Right. So you give that that initial warning verbally, and you give them a stern warning. And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't just stop there. And that's where you become you become persistent, and you continue to tell someone and also stand up to the perpetrator.
So basically, the first time they say something, I would think, as a parent, I would think the first time they say something, I would definitely want to know about it, and I would probably alert the authorities as well. Would you not think that would be the thing to do, or let it get to a point where it's bothersome?
Well, I would say if your child is, reporting some incidents to you, at least by the second time, because the first time, again, you're not too sure. You want to know if it's, if this is some sort of peer conflict or, mutual disagreement or whatnot. So you don't really want to just jump at the conclusion. And I try to have my child try to give her the opportunity to work out her problems before I step in as a parent. So you have to kind of just use your senses and know that, okay, this is beyond just just teasing or just a disagreement. So for me, by just listening to my daughter intensely, I was able to recognize immediately that this is more than just a little back and forth. There's definitely bullying going on.
Wow, that's good. And and what you're saying, it just all makes sense. I like what you said, Mildred, about allowing your daughter to be able to handle it herself, and that just kind of gives her that experience and know how she can handle it and end it as well. So. And it can be ended on a good note, and that helps. I know I have a lot of young ladies that I coach in my business, and it's always this girl wants to fight me, and they just go into that. I don't never seen so many girls fight for no reason. It's just crazy, and no reason they fight. And I was like, well, what are you fighting for?
Almost,
no reason.
Yeah, it's like it's for show now. It's for entertainment, and that's not the right way to do it. There are plenty of other ways we can entertain one another besides fighting and putting on a show on social media.
Absolutely, and it makes no sense. And I'm like, are you going to jeopardize being put out of school? Are you going to jeopardize having a possible record? Are you going to jeopardize all of this, responding to this craziness back on social media? And I think, what you said is true. It's for show. It's to say that they did it. Well, and I said, well, why would you want to fight somebody? Well, if she want to fight me, I'm going to fight her. Oh, my. It's astounding because I've never heard. That's just not how we did it back then. But, of course, we are truly in a different day, which requires a whole lot of patience and understanding more so with our youth, because I think back then, you tell the parents and they kind of could straighten them up right then back in the day. But today, the parents can't even hardly do anything with the child.
Exactly.
For many reasons, they are already have some sort. And I think too, backing up that a lot of parents, and I don't think they really want to or realize it or have any other choice. But I think that they use the school as a place of rearing their children. Keeping them together. They're very in school 8, get up at 5 and come home at 5. We know where you are. No matter what you do, you're in school. Somebody's watching you, but they're not getting anything from what they need that home training.
Absolutely. And it all goes right back to the home.
Absolutely. All arrows lead back to the home.
That's right.
All arrows lead back to the home. So when you go to the schools, what type of reception have you gotten with your with your book for bullying for children and youth?
Wow, the kids, they really like it. They're really fascinated, at the fact that I was able to create, a story or something that they can relate to that they really, know so much of, and they're always interested to hear. It's like it's never, it's never boring for them. They're always, fascinated with, with the book and just my whole journey of how I even got to this point. So it's always welcoming, and I think that this is, something that, it hits home for them, so they can certainly relate. And sometimes I have some students, that will come up to me and say, well, why did you pick this character? Why is it, they're so curious to know because, again, it's a very important topic, and they appreciate it.
Right. Yeah, because they're going to relate to bullying. Everybody, you wouldn't think you had that many bullies, but everybody has had some type of encounter with a bully, whether it's verbal or it's physical or what have you, whether it's on social media or it's in school. Everybody's has some kind of encounter with a person of that nature. And let's ask this question, because we've talked about what we do when bullies come into our space and how they can be intimidating. What is a bully, to a point where my question is, what would be, do you think that person, of course, I know it goes back to the home, it's a lack of love or lack of something that's going on with them to cause them to want to interject their feelings, emotions, or anger against another person?
Yes, certainly. Most times, studies have shown that, students who or persons who are bullies, they have some sort of stress going on in their life or something that they have no control over. So what they try to do is they try to project that frustration on others, because now they feel powerful. Now they feel like they're in control. So whenever we're talking about the aggressor or the bully, we have to really also consider, well, what's going on with that individual? Because there's something happening there that's allowing them to feel that they have to put somebody else down or make, somebody else miserable. So, it's great that we try to provide services to the victims and their families, but we also can't forget the perpetrators. We can't forget the people who are, causing the harm and fear on others, because they too need the help. They too are lacking, like you said, whether it is love or emotional support or whatever it is. But there's something going on with that individual that's causing them to want to project some sort of fear or harm on someone else. Yeah.
Right. And I'm glad we said that, because it's easy to forget them. It's easy, because if you hurt my child, I can care less about you, and it's easy to do that, but we have to realize, I think that, something is going on with that person, and we don't even know what's going on. It could be, family issues or emotional issues, and like you said, the stressors that are going on with the children, because I don't think that a lot of adults realize that, I know you do in your profession, that kids are stressed too, and they get stressed, and not, just because they're not working a job and paying bills and taking care of family, they have their stressors. And I found that out when I do my teens workshop, and my husband and I worked with juvenile justice for some years, teaching the children there, the youth, and they're like, man, I'm just stressed out. And for a minute you think, stressed out? All you're doing is going, what are you doing? And I'm quite sure, some of the guys will say, I told my mom I'm stressed out, and then she just started screaming and went off and everything. But she's probably wondering, I'm the one that's stressed out, not you. So it is a combination of what's going on at home, and kids needing to get some type of help as to why they do what they do. Because do you think, Mildred, that if they don't and they continue to be bullies, is this where we get those guys, gals that come and shoot up the schools and the churches and the houses and things of that nature?
Yes, I strongly believe that it leads to that, and we have, studies have shown that, some school shootings, especially in the 90s, that 12 out of 15 school shootings were, when you look at the shooter's background, that person was also a victim of bullying at some point. So now, so now they are taking out their anger and their frustration and want to impose that on other people, because they were, at some point, again, they were victimized. So that anger and frustration, comes out when it's not addressed, when we miss it, when we don't recognize the red flags, And with a recent case in, I believe it was Spokane, Washington. It's with the case that happened recently in earlier this month, the kid mentioned that he he wanted to teach his bullies a lesson. And this is what we're saying. At some point they're victimized, and there was no help. Nobody heard them. No resources there, and they eventually it's overwhelming, and they just take it out, and it's sad. It's a sad situation. So we have to really be proactive and recognize these red flags so that it doesn't lead to something tragic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard that before. Hurt people. And that's a lot of what's going on. So, Mildred, what do you say? What do we have to do? I know it's not easy, but what do we need to do? We got parents that are working jobs and some working 2 and 3 jobs. Sometimes the kids are by themselves, and the schools are don't look at it as being something where they have to hire an additional staff just to deal with it, and then they're in a budget crisis and things of that nature, and it's almost like only thing that's left for these kids, either way, whether they're bullied or the bully, is incarceration. So where can we, as adults, what do we need to do? What's from your study and research? How can we help this to not become any larger in life than what it is?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that this is not just a school issue. This is a community issue. This is a societal issue, and we have to really make a concerted effort to minimize or eliminate this issue. We have to work together. So it's not just looking up to the schools to address this. Yes, the schools have a great role to play in it because the kids spend so much time in that environment. However, again, as parents, as community leaders, as educators, as stakeholders, we have to come together. We all have to pull in, do our part and and do what's necessary. And so, we can look into religious groups, we can look into health departments, youth clubs, just so many different entities out there that can come together and just work on this epidemic, because it's impacting our society. And we don't address this, and I know you mentioned about the juvenile system. If we don't address this, it leads to criminal charges. And there are studies that found that that 60% of former bullies have will be convicted by the age of 24. So if we don't address this issue collectively, they're likely to end up in jail or be convicted of some type of crime. So so it goes in full circle.
Yeah. And I hear you, and I know this is something we have to do. I think there's just one more thing that's been added to the list of what we haven't done. And I think that, the community is responsible, the organizations are responsible, our faith groups are responsible for us to come together. And it's so difficult, and I know this is a big deal for our children and our children's future. And I look at so many other things that we have to come together on one accord for. And the list keeps growing and growing. And at some point, we're going to have to take the bull by the horn and make some loud noise, because if we don't, it could be, anybody's kid or grandkid could be this other kid who feels like people been dumping on him, or the other kid that feels like I want to dump on somebody, and our kid or grandkid could be just in that area. So, I think people don't think if it doesn't happen to them or that they don't have to worry about it, but we all have to worry about it, even if it's one child.
Absolutely.
We all have to worry about it, and we should worry about it, because I'm quite sure these kids don't want to be in the position that they are if they are the aggressor. And definitely those that are being bullied don't want to be in that position. So we got a lot of work to do, and it keeps doubling up on us, though, Mildred, and I don't know when we're going to start kind of getting some of this stuff off our plates as the years continue to go by. And in the climate that we're in today, it makes a lot of things difficult because the adults are bullying now. So that coupled on top of that is just, we hope and pray, true enough, But I think, as you said, we're going to have to do some action. Action is going to have to follow some of this positive action in the community so that we can get these things done. So, I mean, you know, what you've done, you know, just in the time that you know, doing your research at school, this is something that's really, 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 I can see how it can go to your heart, because it's something that's so, so very important in our community that we just need it, period. And I think there's some people who don't, some parents don't know their kids are being bullied, and some parents don't know their kids are bullies.
Yes.
So,
and there are some that do know and say, oh, no, not my child, you know. So I find that also very interesting and frustrating. You know, you have to, you know, be open to understand that maybe your child is, you know, causing some discomfort in someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. That a mother, I was talking, when she brought her daughter in, and I was working with her daughter, and she took her phone from her, and the text messages on the phone just brought her to tears. And the argument about a boy and the words she was saying and how she was saying it, and she was like, I don't know where she got that from. And that's always a shock. But, you know, Mom works long hours. Mom gets up early and she comes home late. And, you know, she works hours, and it's not hard to pick up those words in school, for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
That's right. It's all about the environment.
There's the environment. I remember my son would come home from daycare, and you can tell, well, I'm like, where you get that from? And, you know, or if they spat, or they're kicked, or they're doing things that you're like, I know I didn't teach you that. Where'd you get it from? So you know they're picking it up. And if you don't change that, then they're going to begin to continue to pick up those things and emulate what they see. So, Mildred, I want you to tell everybody it's been a blessing to have you to inform us about bullying in our schools and why we need to be on top of it with our kids and our grandkids, and we need to show up and make a statement. Even if you just show up at the school once a month, you need to show up at least and let them know, and then, you know, maybe talk to your churches about having a class with the kids that are there. So it's never too much information that we can't give our children so they can be better.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. Tell us about how our listening audience can contact you, your social media connections and things of that nature, Mildred.
Sure. You can definitely contact me through Peyton Consulting info@gmail.com. And my website is drmildredpeyton.com. And you can also purchase my books on amazon.com/author/Dr. Mildred Peyton. And on social media, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And that's Dr. Mildred Peyton @Bullying Expert. So if you go on social media, you'll find me by putting in Dr. Mildred Peyton @Bullying Expert.
Great. Well, I appreciate you for being on the show and coming to the studio with me today, Mildred. You have really informed me. You know, that's kind of helped. My son is a lot older right about now, so I kind of passed a lot of that. But I run into so many mothers that have those kind of issues, and the young girls as well, about that. So I'll be also letting them know about the book for their children as well, to go on Amazon and look at that, because it's never too much that we can give to help our children to, advance in all parts of their lives.
Absolutely, I agree.
And I appreciate you coming on the show, and keep writing those books, and we look to have you come back on the show again and just tell us a little bit more about what you're doing and the different things and different impacts you're making as a bully expert.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on the show today.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on the show, Mildred. Have a great weekend.
All right, thank you, and same to you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There you go, Mrs. Dr. Mildred Peyton. She is an author of and a bullying expert. Man, this is early. This is going into preschool. This is early for our kids to have another challenge in their lives. You know, there's a lot of challenges that are going on in our communities, and we are not dealing with them at all. We're just not working them out. There's one thing after the other, and a lot of us know, who's probably on the show, a lot of us know we didn't have that kind of stuff go on. The two parents got together and said, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that, and then you shook hands or you gave a hug and then you played together. But it has gone. So many things that we can remember, some of us have come and it has gone. And we're allowing ourselves to be manipulated through a system that is not benefiting us or our children. I think that when if you're not worried about the kid next door, you need to worry about the kid next door, because you might come up on that kid in the wrong way. And don't just brush them off as this is another kid, bad kid, stay away, because that's just not how it works at all. Our community needs to be a little bit more forthcoming, and I know that we got a lot to do. There's so much stuff on our plate. I'm just, I'm not that optimistic about how things are looking in communities, and not only just in the people of color communities. I'm just in general. I think we have a man in the White House that is very divisive, and I don't feel as if he really cares. I think that he sits on his throne, and he feels like he's on his throne. And we are just pawns in the game, and that's so unfortunate. But what has to happen is, as people, all people of all colors, have to rise up and to not put up with this. And no matter if you voted for him or if you didn't, if you like Barack Obama, if you didn't like him, or if you don't, bullying is something that's just not for kids. Bullying is just pure bully, just a person who wants to antagonize people for any reason. And as I said before, are you a bully? Ask yourself that question. Do you bully your family? Do you bully your kids? Do you bully your wife? Do you bully your boyfriend, your girlfriend? What kind of person are you? Are you giving off that kind of energy too? Do you bully people at your job for no particular reason? And she gave 3 different segments of bullying, and it's not all verbal. It's isolation as well. Do you just come in the house and you sit down and you don't talk and you figure I'm not going to say nothing to you? Do you go to your job and you sit with other people and you isolate another person for a particular reason? Do you get on social media? And I've had grown folks get on social media and act a complete fool. And I'm just wondering, when did you ever grow up? Because that is the most asinine thing for anybody to do, is to go back and forth with any individual on social media. And I'm just like, they're so immature and so beneath a person to do that. So, I was thinking about the guest that was coming on, and I was telling Tracy, I said, and I thought about that, and I thought about how relationships, are you a bully in your relationship? Relationships are about building, not bullying. Are you building your relationship with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers, with your job, with your business investors and investments and your church? Are you building a relationship? That's what you do. You don't bully, you build, because you can't have a relationship if you are bullying and pushing people around, or you're taking away. And my husband and I are looking to do a deal, and somebody they emailed us. But, the thing is, when we were looking to do the deal, the person came in and he wanted X, Y, Z. And I'm saying to my husband, hold up, you want to just walk in the house and tell me what you want, but you haven't built a relationship with our company yet, but you want X, Y, and Z. You want us to partner, you want us to do this. And I had a problem with that. The money didn't mean as much to me when this person came in the way they came in, was to push around and demand, and this is what I don't want, this is what I do want. So, I'm quick to sever the relationship fast. I don't waste around, because if you affect to my spirit right now, then you'll do it later. So I'm like, let's get this over with and close this out right now. But you have to learn to build a relationship with people. So, if you think you're a bully and you're not building, but you're bullying in your relationships and all relationships that you have, you want to check yourself. So, it's been great. It's been wonderful, and I thank you again for allowing me to be in your space. This is Myra McKnight with Can We Talk? And what I want you to do, I want you to sing out loud. I want you to live as if today was your last. I want you to dance as if no one was watching you. I want you to be free and to be happy and to be loving and to be caring. It doesn't make you a weak person. As a matter of fact, it makes you a powerful person when you do that. So go and make it a great week and enjoy yourself and stay away from bullies. Learn to recognize those bullies wherever they are, whether in your family or whether they're in your relationship. You want to recognize them, and you don't want to have an aggressor towards you, but you want to make sure they know that you know what they're doing. So for now, I'll say good night. Make it a great weekend. See you on Friday. Bye-bye.
Get at me for beats, yo.